Welcome to US Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Brazen burglars are crashing vehicles into stores. The estate taxes catching Americans by surprise. SEC power rankings after Week 12, Auburn tumbles. 261 Georgia congregations leave the United Methodist Church over a divide on LGBTQ issues. Wall Street has a plan for a soft landing, buy more stocks. Brazen burglars are crashing vehicles into stores. Wall Street Journal. Retailers in the U.S. are suffering from a new crime trend that sees burglars crashing stolen vehicles into stores to loot ATMs, guns, and other valuables. Known as ram raiding, the tactic is causing further problems for retailers who are already under threat from organized retail theft rings. The vehicles of choice are often stolen Hyundais and Kias, which lack certain anti-theft technology and are relatively easy to steal. The western states have seen the most concentrated attacks, but ram raiding is increasing across the country due to the rise in property crime since the COVID-19 pandemic. Local and federal law enforcement officials have said they are observing a sharp uptick in this type of crime. In an attempt to protect themselves, businesses are investing in bollards, filled with steel and anchored in the ground, which can cost between $600 and $10,000 each. The estate taxes catching Americans by surprise. Wall Street Journal. U.S. state estate and inheritance taxes can be a nasty surprise for heirs expecting to inherit a house or business. While the federal estate tax only affects the wealthiest Americans, the thresholds for state estate and inheritance taxes are generally much lower. These taxes can cost heirs tens of thousands of dollars they aren't expecting to pay, along with the grief of figuring out how to pay the bill. The problem is especially acute now because of the recent meteoric rise in real estate values. 17 states and the District of Columbia have an estate tax, an inheritance tax, or both. Generally, your estate will be subject to these taxes if you consider one of these places your permanent home or you have property there. Estate taxes get levied at rates of up to 20% on estates over a certain threshold, known as the exemption amount. Estate tax exemption amounts vary from $1 million to $12.92 million. Inheritance taxes are slightly different. They aren't levied on the estate, but the heirs. The much lower exemption amounts and tax rates depend on the heir's relationship to the deceased. SEC power rankings after Week 12, Auburn tumbles. Yahoo! 261 Georgia congregations leave the United Methodist Church over a divide on LGBTQ issues. CNN. The North Georgia Conference of the United Methodist Church, UMC, has voted to accept the decision of 261 congregations to leave the denomination over LGBTQ issues. This comes after a 2019 decision by the National UMC to allow congregations to leave by the end of 2023. The 261 churches now leaving the North Georgia Conference account for a sizable percentage of its nearly 700 churches. Under the terms of the disaffiliation agreement, churches leaving the conference can no longer use the United Methodist name nor use the denomination's logo. Big Ten Week 12 Roundup, all final scores, updated standings, and bowl eligibility tracker. Yahoo! The Big Ten championship race is now officially down to 3 teams after the events of Week 12. As Iowa put its hands on the West Division crown with another defensive victory, all eyes have now locked in on next week's Michigan vs. Ohio State matchup to determine the East crown. Both the Wolverines and Buckeyes won their final matchup before their rivalry game next week, and both remain undefeated with the college football playoff within reach once again. Have both played themselves into a position to reach the playoff and give the Big Ten 2 bids for a second straight season? That remains to be seen. Exclusive, GM's Cruise CEO offers apology, will allow share sales. Reuters. Cruise CEO Kyle Voigt has apologized to staff for the company's self-driving vehicle accident, which led to a halt in operations while a safety review was conducted. In an email to employees, Voigt also announced a new tender offer would be made for shares, just days after an earlier offer was cancelled. The Cruise unit had been offering an equity program to allow current and former employees to sell vested equity. The company suspended the program, provoking backlash from employees who said they would face heavy tax burdens on vested stocks. Voigt did not provide details on the new tender offer. Update 1U.S. Israel and Hamas reach tentative deal to pause conflict and free dozens of hostages. Walpo. Yahoo! According to the Washington Post, Israel, the United States, and Hamas have reached a tentative agreement to release dozens of women and children held hostage in Gaza in exchange for a 5-day truce. As part of the agreement, all parties would freeze combat operations for at least 5 days while hostages are released in smaller groups every 24 hours. The truce would also allow in a significant amount of humanitarian aid. The hostage release is expected to begin within the next several days. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Six, your resident observer from the 6 Degrees world, bringing you the latest news from around the globe. Today, we have an interesting mix of stories that range from crime trends in the US to surprising taxes and even sports updates. So, let's dive right in. First up, we have the brazen burglars in the US who are crashing stolen vehicles into stores to loot ATMs, guns, and other valuables. This tactic, known as ram raiding, is causing headaches for retailers already dealing with organized retail theft rings. The vehicles of choice for these burglars are often stolen Hyundais and Kias, which lack certain anti-theft technology. So, if you see a stolen Hyundai crashing into a store, chances are they're not just really bad at parking. Moving on, we have the estate taxes catching Americans by surprise. While the federal estate tax only affects the wealthiest Americans, state estate and inheritance taxes can catch heirs off guard. These taxes can cost tens of thousands of dollars, and with the recent rise in real estate values, the problem has become even more acute. So, if you plan on leaving behind a hefty inheritance, you might want to consider moving to a state with friendlier tax laws. In sports news, we have the SEC power rankings after Week 12. I won't bore you with all the details, but let's just say that some teams rose, some teams fell, and some teams really need to work on their game. But hey, that's the beauty of sports, you never know what's going to happen. Just ask the Auburn Tigers who lost to the New Mexico State Aggies. Ouch! Now, let's turn to a more serious topic. CNN reports that 261 congregations have left the United Methodist Church over a divide on LGBTQ issues. The North Georgia Conference has accepted their decision, and these churches will no longer be able to use the United Methodist name or logo. It's a reminder that even in the world of religion, change is constant, and sometimes it leads to difficult divisions. Shifting gears to Wall Street, it seems that investors are optimistic about a soft landing for the U.S. economy. They believe that the Federal Reserve will reduce interest rates next year without causing a significant slowdown. So, what's their plan for a soft landing? Buy more stocks, of course. Because nothing says soft landing like a well-diversified portfolio. In the world of college football, the Big Ten championship race is heating up. With Iowa securing the West Division crown and Michigan and Ohio State remaining undefeated, all eyes are on their upcoming rivalry game. Will both teams make it to the college football playoff? Only time will tell, but it's shaping up to be an exciting showdown. Lastly, we have news from GM's Cruise CEO, Kyle Voigt, who has issued an apology to staff for a self-driving vehicle accident that led to a halt in operations. He also announced a new tender offer for shares after the suspension of an earlier offer faced backlash from employees. It seems like Cruise is trying to navigate its way back on track and keep their employees happy. And there you have it, folks. A whirlwind of news from around the world. From crashing cars to surprising taxes and everything in between. Now, it's your turn. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you have any questions or insights? Let's discuss. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.